understand this. And funny enough, we're absorbed into these conflict patterns without even knowing that we're being absorbed into these conflict patterns, and to have little tricks to be able to identify when we've been swept up.
That's it.
What would you recommend?
Well, a key part to me of going to the balcony is the ability to, from the balcony perspective, it gives you the ability to name the game. And if you can kind of identify the game, I've been to this movie before, I've played this game before, the ability to recognize. Once you're able to recognize, then you're free of it. It just, it's not even, you don't even have to change something. Some people think they have to change something, but sometimes you just recognize it and let it go, and then there is an evolution that will take place of change. But it has to start with recognizing it, and that starts from the balcony.
I was listening to your book. I have the Audible version. Oh my gosh, I love it. Yes, it comes alive when you speak the words. You had a story of Jaime from Colombia.
Yeah.
And this is a perfect. This is a very good example of someone who has done much work behind the scenes on the balcony. Would you mind telling our listeners?
Yeah. I just need to ask you: is the wind?
No, I think we're good.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is
okay. Because if not, we can. Because sometimes the wind can blow up here, and I don't know whether for your mic.
No, this is, and just for our listeners, we are out in Dr. William-Ury's backyard, where you can see the mountains of Boulder. This is absolutely gorgeous. So what you hear is nature in the background.
So Jaime, I've had the honor of being able to work with the president and government of Colombia for the last 4 years in helping to think about how to bring an end to an incredibly painful, more than 50-year-long civil war in Colombia that has there have been over 230,000 deaths. There have been over 6 million refugees internally displaced. And the question is the challenge was how do you even begin peace talks with guerrilla movement that you haven't, that there hasn't been any kind of conversation with in over 10 years or 12 years. And so we were talking about this, and it's also it's not easy for a country to do this. There's a lot of people who fear that peace means giving away things, and so it had to be done initially quite in confidentiality to see if there's enough there that the president could actually take the political risk of announcing the beginning of peace talks. So one of the initial challenges was how to extract a guerrilla commander out of the jungle to a third country, which in this case was Cuba, so that you could actually have these initial confidential talks. And it had to be done totally confidentially, and so it fell to one of the government officials who worked with the president, whose name was Jaime, who had to find a helicopter, worked with the Red Cross, and got in the helicopter. The Red Cross official got in, and I think a Cuban official got in, handed the coordinates to the pilot about where in the jungle they were going to meet, because obviously the guerrillas wouldn't trust the government with these coordinates because maybe you'd invite an attack. And then they flew out in the middle of the jungle for 30 minutes, found a clearing, landed in the helicopter, and stayed there. And then suddenly dozens, hundreds of guerrillas came out, each carrying an AK-47 aimed at the helicopter. So, and Jaime, my friend here, was in the helicopter, thinking, "What do I do?" Life didn't look very friendly at that point.
No, it didn't.
But he had the presence of mind to go to the balcony and realize that there's no use me staying in the helicopter because the bullets can go through the helicopter. So he opened the door of the helicopter, got out, strode right up to the commander and said, "Señor Comandante, I am now placing you under the personal protection of the president. That is what in negotiation we call a reframe, because he's taking a situation where it looks like all the power is against him. Things are very unfriendly. These are his enemies who are with all these guns aimed at him, and he is reframing and saying, We're partners here together. I'm putting you under the personal protection of the president. So instead of enemies, we're partners. And the guerrilla commander looked at him for a moment. It was a very uncomfortable moment. Said, "Okay," got in the helicopter, and they flew off to Cuba. And the negotiations began, which I'm hoping actually this year are going to lead to an unprecedented peace agreement that will end the last war happening in the Western Hemisphere. It'll be historic.
30 years, no?
50 years.
50.
Or over 50 years, actually,
wow.
At this point. Yeah, 50
German
years.
Christmas.
50 years of war. And it'll just show, I hope it will show people that even the most intractable situation that people think is absolutely impossible, and I can tell you that so many people thought this is a totally impossible situation because of the war, the feelings, drugs, so many complications, that shows that through patience, through persistence, through reframing, through negotiation, through putting yourself in the other person's shoes, slowly you can bring an end to even the most intractable conflict.
So one person going to the balcony, after disquest, another person going to the balcony builds on itself.
That's it.
I love this story. And then another story that I love is one of Gabby, your daughter, who has, in two ways of going to the balcony, of you doing your work with her and then she doing her work with herself to be able to get her. Would you like to tell the story without being a spoiler?
Sure, I'd be happy to. Well, Gabby has been one of my greatest teachers. She's now 17. She's about to go off to college, but when she was born 17 years ago here in Boulder, she was born with special needs. There was a diagnosis of all these congenital anomalies that she's had over 15 major surgeries on just about everywhere, her organs, her legs, her feet, and so on, her back. And so she's had a rough life in that sense. But she's also, she's an amazing teacher of how, you could frame life as being very unfriendly, but she, in fact, she not only accepts her condition, but she doesn't let it in the slightest get in her own way. She's probably, a good head or more shorter than all the kids in her class, but she decided she was going to try out for volleyball one day. Mm-hmm. And she can't really run, so the teacher said, "Well, Gabby, while the other kids run, why don't you do the plank?" And I don't know if you know the plank exercise, but it's a core
describe it to us.
Abdominal exercise where you lie down on the ground, you plant your elbows on the ground, and you hold your body perfectly straight. Mm-hmm. And people do it in yoga, people do it in the Army. It's a kind of a core abdominal exercise, and it usually, most of us, like I can do it for about a minute, and then you start to straight. So, but when the kids came back from running the mile, Gabby was still doing the plank after like 10 minutes, and the teacher said, "Have you been doing the plank the whole time?" And then Gabby realized, I've got a little talent. And ever since she was little, she always wanted to be in the Guinness Book of World Records. When she was younger, she tried the longest hopscotch course or whatever. She wouldn't let anything stop her. She just thought she could do anything. Nothing was going to stop her, not her special needs and whatever. So she decided, so that day she wrote away to the Guinness Book of World Records, and she came back that the world record for females was 40 minutes holding that plank.
Oh my gosh.
So she started training, and she decided that for her 16th birthday party, she would go for the record. And even like a week before the party, the current record holder who held that 40-minute record wrote her and said, "Gabby, I'm sorry to tell you this, but I've broken my own record, and I'm just about to submit to the Guinness World Records, and it's now an hour." But Gabby didn't let anything stop her. We had her, birthday party. Everyone was around, and for the Guinness Book of World Records, you have to get 2 witnesses and 2 observers, and you got to get cameras and stuff like that to kind of
to
verify that in fact it's the case. And by golly, if Gabi didn't go for an hour and 20 minutes, she doubled the world record, and which was amazing. And then like the next week, she was on Good Morning America, and the Guinness Book of World Records officially presented her the record. And what she showed, I think, from that is that, just how much it's this internal, no matter what your external circumstances are, that you can take things that you think are absolutely impossible or whatever, whether it's conflicts or whatever, and through, you can find a way. She was able, it's that same power that Jaime had, which is to reframe. One of the greatest powers in negotiation is the power to reframe, to change the way you see the situation from an adversarial one to a potentially cooperative one. And Gabi was able to do that. To me, it's, it was Einstein, I think, who once said the most important decision any human being needs to make in their life is to answer the question, is the universe friendly? Because who knows whether the universe is friendly? But we could, the reason why he thought that was the most important thing was this was after the atomic bomb, which had to do with nuclear physics, which he had a lot to do with. He would say, well, if we think the universe is unfriendly, then we're going to treat everyone as a potential adversary, and with nuclear weapons, pretty soon, we're going to destroy ourselves. But if we think the universe is basically friendly, then we'll give the other side a chance, and maybe they could become partners. And so that ability to make that choice, to say yes to life, as it were, that's what I've learned from Gabi. That's what she does, and that's why I consider her one of my greatest teachers.
Wow, this is so cool. Thank you, Dr. William-Ury, for joining us on Authenticity Radio. And we have a tradition. We always ask our guests, what is your bottom line message for humanity? So, Dr. William-Ury, no pressure.
Yeah, my bottom line message for humanity is an invitation to ask. It's an invitation to go for a walk. I love to go for walks, but just go for a walk and ask yourself, why not get to yes? I mean, why not get to yes with ourselves? Why not get to yes with others? Because if we can do that, then everything else we want in life can follow. And so that's why I've dedicated. I mean, my passion is helping people get to yes, help get to a peace, realizing that inner peace actually is just as important and is the kind of the precondition to the outer peace that we seek in the world for ourselves, for our families, for our workplaces, for our communities, and ultimately for the world.
Go for a walk, and why not get to that yes? Okay. And will you join us in the future for another program?
I'd be happy to.
All right. This is Slade Suter. Until next time, be authentic, be true, go for a walk, and ask yourself the question, why not get to the yes and be free?
Authenticity Radio. Conflict is a choice you know.
Whoa, watch it! Sorry.
In order to gain a new perspective and how to resolve conflict in your organization, business, or family, go to AuthenticityRadio.com. All right, enough.